The abductions had gone on for decades. No one spoke of them openly in the council chambers, but everyone knew. Human children vanished from colonies at the edges of civilization, taken by raiders who were always unaffiliated, always beyond jurisdiction. The Zer Dominion, the Cathari Syndicate, even the so-called Peaceful Veil Confederacy all had been caught with evidence, with ships, with captives, and each time humanity demanded answers. The council's response was the same: investigations, apologies, words, but the children never returned. Adrian Cross had buried one of those losses himself. His sister's daughter, Emma, stolen at age 9 from a transport on the way to Mars. For years, his sister had waited for news, for hope. None came. She died with Emma's picture clutched in her hand. That day, Adrian stopped believing in treaties on the bridge of the dreadnought Retribution. He stood with eyes cold as the void. Beside him, Mara Vey monitored the swarms, her jaw tight with the quiet rage she carried everywhere. Lewis Grant ran tactical, his hands steady, his voice calm, but there was no mistaking the fury beneath his composure. Every officer on that ship had lost someone, and tonight the hunters would become the hunted. The target was the Cathari breeding world of Scorvan, the heart of their empire. For centuries, the Cathari had stolen children from dozens of species to fuel their slave legions and genetic experiments. Humanity had tolerated it for the sake of peace. Humanity had begged the Council to intervene. Humanity had endured no longer. The Retribution emerged from the shadow of Scorvan's moon with a fleet at its back. Carriers, destroyers, hidden weapons humanity had never admitted existed. Drones swarmed ahead like a storm of metal locusts, blotting out the stars. The Cathari scrambled to respond. Dozens of defense platforms powered up, their weapons spitting fire. Fleets rose from orbital docks, roaring into formation. But it was already too late. Open fire, Adrian ordered. Rail slugs screamed across the void at near light speed. Platforms shattered like glass. Gravity torpedoes bloomed, collapsing carriers into singularities that tore entire formations into silence. Swarms of drones ripped through frigates and corvettes, overwhelming shields drilling through holes that the Cathari fought. But the outcome was never in doubt. They had spent centuries preying on weakness. They had never faced vengeance forged in silence. Mara's voice was sharp. Enemy command ship isolated. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Bring it to heel. The Retribution's weapons crippled the vessel, leaving it drifting in flames. Boarding pods launched, slamming into its hull. Marinis in black exosuits stormed through corridors, their rifles spitting molten death. The Cathari defenders fell back, snarling, shrieking. Breaking under the relentless advance, Adrian walked at the front, his armor painted with the sigil of Earth. He cut down the last defenders at the command deck and ripped open the blast doors with his gauntlet. Inside, the Cathari High Commander Vrisak bared his fangs, his mandibles rattling. You dare attack the Cathari homeworld, Vrisak screeched. You defy the Council, you doom your species. Adrian leveled his rifle, his voice low and terrible. You doomed us the day you took our children. Vrisak spat. There were spoils, tools, nothing more. That is the way of the stars. Not anymore, Adrian said, and he pulled the trigger. The High Commander fell, his chest a smoking ruin. Back on the bridge of the Retribution, the fleet tightened its noose. Mara's fingers flew over controls. Orbital defenses are down. Civilian evacuation craft detected. Adrian's jaw hardened. Let them run. We're not here for civilians. Lewis glanced at him. Then what's the order? Adrian's eyes were steel. And their future. And so it began. The Retribution's drones descended into the atmosphere, targeting the genetic foundries where stolen children had been twisted into soldiers. The labs burned, their archives erased. Vaults of slave stockpiles were breached not to free captives, but to destroy the machinery that would ever make more. The breeding complexes were shattered by kinetic bombardments, craters smoldering where once the Cathari had built their empire of chains. Scorvan screamed, the Council screamed, messages poured in, demanding that Earth cease its assault, that humanity withdraw, that treaties be respected. But the messages went unanswered. For every human child lost, for every colony scarred, the fire rained heavier. On the bridge, Mara's voice trembled with fury. We found them. Adrian turned sharply. We're deep in the southern continent. A holding facility. Thousands of them. Not just human, dozens of species. Her hands shook. Some are alive. Adrian's chest clenched. And the human children. Mara swallowed hard. Too many to count. The order came without hesitation. Secure them. Every last one. Marines stormed the facility. The images that returned chilled even hardened soldiers. Children in cages. Children wired into machines. Children who had been experimented on, their eyes hollow with suffering. But among them were human faces, scarred, broken, but alive. Emma Cross was not among them. Adrian knew she never would be. But others were. Enough to remind him why he fought. When the last captive was freed. When the last foundry was ashes. When Scorvan's skies were filled with fire. Adrian sent his message. Not to the Cathari, not to the Council, but to the galaxy itself. The broadcast went out across every network, every channel. Adrian's face appeared, his voice as unyielding as the void. You took our young, you stole our children and made them slaves. You thought our patience was weakness. You thought our silence meant surrender. No more. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive. Tonight, the Ketheri learn what it means to touch what is ours. We will burn every chain. We will break every empire built on the backs of our children. This is not a war of conquest. This is vengeance. They took our young. Now humanity takes their future. The broadcast ended. On Skorvan the flames rose high. In the council chambers, delegates whispered in terror. Across the stars, parents of every species who had lost children looked to Earth and saw not a victim but a guardian. And the predators of the galaxy finally understood. Humanity had drawn its line.